Is there a specific course you want me to focus in on at all, or a kind of a concept that you want me to kind of focus in on for you guys as far as history perspective? I know,
Yeah.
Katie, you said you're seventh grade, but I'll be honest with you, it's been a little while since I've looked at seventh grade North Carolina, so I'm not remembering exactly what that is.
So Katie and I both teach seventh grade world history to the present.
Okay.
So we are probably, I think Katie's probably right there with me on, like, we're doing globalization next week.
Okay.
I had some questions about that unit specifically. So maybe talk a little bit about the modern issues.
Sure. Okay. So world history up through present. So the two parts I would take you into. So social studies Techbook is going to reside just like right here. And I won't go super deep into this piece unless there's sort of specific questions you want me to go into. I really want to make sure we get some time to focus in on how to get this in the Canvas. But we'll give you just kind of a brief introduction here. So what I would do, especially when you're looking at modern issues, you have access to world history, prehistory to present, but then you also have world geography and cultures. And I wouldn't get hung up just on the world geography and cultures naming structure, because what I think this can really benefit when you're talking about current events and current situations people are dealing with. And we break this into regions of the world. So we're obviously talking about Western Hemisphere in Unit 2. Unit 3 is Eastern Hemisphere. And so you get into things like Sub-Saharan Africa, people and culture of Sub-Saharan Africa, government and economy of Sub-Saharan Africa, as well as other parts of the world, as you can kind of see, North Africa and Southwest Asia. And these are great places to kind of get those connections to what's happening right now in those places in the world. First off, let me make sure that's my lens of it, but does that make sense to you guys?
It does. Just reading a few of those, like what's on your screen. I mean, we'll definitely talk about.
Anna's. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. I'm not sure whose phone that was.
It was me.
Oh, good, Anna. No problem. So yeah,
I agree with what David was saying. These look really great so far. Definitely stuff we'll teach in this unit.
All right. So one of the areas I'm just going to go into for a moment is human-environment interaction in North Africa, Southwest Asia. I know that Leanne was talking about the elaborate section, and so I'm going to go there first for just a moment because there are some really dynamic resources that are available. Classroom debates of the role and the benefits and the cost of the Aswan Dam, or you've got your DBQs. So I know my daughter, who's a high schooler, let's see, APUSH as she calls it, AP US History, and she takes AP Environmental Science. They do a lot of DBQs, but so those are there as well if you're looking to utilize them. There's role play events. But the other thing I would point out is these investigations, and you will see these in most concepts. I'm not going to say there's one in every concept, but in most concepts you'll see these investigations, which are great introductory components for your students to really get a sense of what is it we're going to be asked to kind of be able to address, or how are we going to take this information and utilize it versus just memorizing events, dates, facts, things like that. So in this case, what they're going to be asked to do is look at meeting the water needs of Yemen. Now, Yemen is right up against the ocean, so they're going to understand the problem, some basic facts about their population. They can look at the population growth of Yemen over time, Yemen's freshwater resources as it compares to other countries in the area, and Yemen's water usage and where their primary water usage, so they can actually see that for household, industry, and agriculture. They can see agriculture's the primary. You can break it into a data table if you want to, so they can see it in different formats. And then they're going to look through and see have to go through and make a overall benefit and advantages and disadvantages analysis of things like, well, if we want to do desalination, what does that mean? And what would be the advantages and disadvantages? As they're studying the content, they can take notes and keep track of the advantages and disadvantages for each of these potential solutions to Yemen's water problems. And then when they come back to this at the end, after they've done their study of the content, they're going to then come in and rank these. What makes the most sense? What is the best overall plan to solve Yemen's water problems? And so they can actually drag and drop these in place, and we'll just put them in any order I want. It's fine. And then they have to put in why did they put one first, farm reform? Why did they put one second? And what's the overall cost benefit analysis? So it's getting into those, really getting students to think about not just simply memorizing the information, but how could they potentially present a solution to the problem, but understanding also that every solution has a cost-benefit analysis. Nothing's free. There's positives and negatives to every potential solution out there. Does that make sense to you guys?
It does. I love it.
Yeah, this looks amazing.
Cool. Now, in addition to that, your background information is all going to be built through, information through our 5E instructional model of Engage and Explore. And just to give you some basic, have you guys seen the Techbook at all?
Yeah, I've been exploring it quite a bit this
Okay.
week. Just trying to, I guess what I'm trying to wrap my head around, and I think it's going to help with the Canvas connection, is how do I make these links active for kids? What is the easiest way for me to see the work from kids? How are they turning it in? Like just those minor kind of nuts and bolts, boots on the ground details, right?
Perfect. Yep. So let's talk about that then. So if you're looking at specific areas, so as my students are exploring or building their background knowledge, one of the things I would make note of is that as I'm finding the pages or pieces that I want my students to be aware of, I'm going to make note of the title of it. So modern technology brings water, right? So that's an area that maybe that page is something I want to make sure my kids utilize in Canvas. So the way this is going to work in Canvas is if you come into Canvas, which is, looks something like this for you guys. Is that right?
Correct.
All right. So what you're going to do, and obviously I went one step further. I can go back to other courses, but I'm in one course for right now. But obviously you can go back to your dashboard and choose your courses, whichever one you want to go into. But I'll go into one course, and then I can create an assignment right here. Now, when I'm in an assignment or creating an assignment, a couple things you can do. One is if I need to browse a little bit, I can browse within Discovery Education. That should be available here. But if I know what I'm looking for, like I said earlier, this page right here, Modern Technology Brings Water, I want to put that page in here. Click on Add Assignment. So we're going to add an assignment. I give it a title. We're just going to call this Yemen Water Needs, whatever it happens to be. Any teacher instructions for the students, obviously, like anything you do, would go here. And you can be as detailed or as general as you want. That's really your call from that point. And then you're going to come right here to the plug icon. Are you all familiar with this one right here?
First time I'm seeing it.
Okay. So depending on the version you have, if you've got an updated version of Canvas, this is what it'll show. If you have an not as updated version, it may have just a down arrow like this little arrow here instead of the plug, but you'll see it here. This is pretty common in most districts I work with. But you're going to click on that, and any resource that's tied with Canvas will populate here. And so in this case, Discovery Education will be there. Yep.
I'm sorry to interrupt. So
No, please.
I like I said, I have not used this much this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I click on that, I don't have that. I think it could be because though I haven't gone through the process of getting, I went to the Discovery Education app and it says I need the consumer key and shared secret.
Interesting.
So do I need to go through that first?
Have you logged into? Well, no, it should automatically log you into Discovery. Have you logged into your SSO first?
Yes.
Sign on. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We'll need to check, Katie, your account. That shouldn't be an issue. It should just automatically log you in, and that should not be a problem. So we need to check what's with your account to make sure we get that resolved for you.
Okay. David, do you see it in yours? Just curious if it's a.
Yeah, I see it. And then I can search within Discovery Ed, and it looks like I can do the first thing that comes up says search resources, find assessments.
Yep, just like what's on my screen right now. Yeah. So Katie, it's something particular with your account. We can get that fixed today.
Okay, awesome.
So what you're going to want to do is, we'll talk about assessments in a moment, but if we're just going to search for resources for right now. And again, I'm going to look for that title of that article. So again, Modern Technology Brings Water. So I'm just going to type in Modern Technology. Helps you spell it right, Brad. There you go. Brings water. So I can type in that term, and you'll see here's that text. That core interactive text is the way we label that. That means it's coming out of one of our tech books. And I click on the word embed. What that's going to do is going to put that page directly into Canvas. Whoops, there it is. Are you seeing that on my screen for you?
Yeah. That is awesome. So easy.
Yep, and any video that's there will play right in Canvas from that point forward as well. Any additional resources that we have, additional video segments, they can get access to directly from within Canvas as well. So they're really just seeing our entire page right here. Now they can navigate to other pages. So if you want to put in directions, hey guys, I want you to read page 4 where you're starting with, but I want you to go all the way to page 6. You can do that without having to put each individual page in here. That's depending on how your students are comfortable with content, those kind of things for you.
And so they could go from here right to that elaborate page where you
They
were doing
can.
drag and drop activity?
Yes, that is correct.
Would it make more sense to start at like a first page? Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, in most cases, I'm just going in a situation. Let's just say that I decided I don't need pages 1, 2, 3. I need you to start at 4. That's why it shows 4. But yeah, in most cases, I would start with 1. But there are times, as you're well aware, in a textbook even, you may say, you know what, these couple of pages, we don't need those, so we're moving beyond those. So I just wanted you to know you can start anywhere you really want.
Cool.
And so I might be getting ahead. You might be going to explain this. So if we wanted them to, read this and then do that elaborate activity, and they did that, the drag and drop, the explanation of the advantages, disadvantages, how do we see that work?
Okay. Yeah, it's a good question. So anytime they complete anything that's in one of those sections here, one of those elaborate activities right here, you're going to need to go into your Techbook service, and it's going to be under results right over here on the right-hand side. You see where I'm pointing?
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see you've got a course assessment and you've got a concept dashboard. You're going to want to go to the concept dashboard. And in this, so here's that task, meeting water needs in Yemen. Any student who completed this, it's going to be a blue box, meaning it needs score because it's an open-ended response. It can't grade it automatically for you. And so then that will open up that you can score that then from that point forward. Does that make sense, Katie?
Yes, that makes sense.
Cool.
So do you think it would make sense in there? Like if we had them read something, then can we post like how you embedded the reading? Could we post something else that kind of embeds right to the elaborate?
You can, yes, exactly. Okay. And I'm going to show you some other really cool things that are coming here in a few minutes that I think will get you excited as well. And also some other ways you can kind of utilize this here in a second. So hold tight for just a moment and we'll hit those. One thing I do want to mention, like you'll notice the names over here are students 1 through 5. That's because we hide student names. So if you ever wanted to pull up a student's response, you could pull up their any student. It randomizes student order. So if Anna was student 2 and I was student 3 this time, the next time you open a dashboard, Anna might be 5 and I might be 3 still, but I wouldn't know, you wouldn't know. So you can actually pull up a response without singling out a child and say, hey, let's look at this response here. What do you think? Where can we make improvements? What do you really like about this response? And so you can have a whole class discussion analyzing a student's response without singling out that child. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now, when you want to know who did what, just come right here to where it says hide names and uncheck that box. And all your students are listed alphabetically by last name.
Do you have to know if when you score it, it adds a grade in Canvas so we can sync it with PowerSchool? Yep. Oh, okay.
So, yeah, so good question. So in the case of these investigations, they do not. However, I do have some other pieces that will sync directly into Canvas that I'll show you here in just a second. Okay. But the investigations do not. It's just the way they work. So yeah, that one is different.
I also want to just kind of point out real quickly, right now you're looking at the teacher view. I feel like if you were going to assign, you might want to just click the little button over there and do student view. Yeah. That's when you would assign. You wouldn't see the model lesson on their page. So
that one thing, actually, Anna, if I go here and I publish this, they don't need to worry about that. So if I go to save and publish, it turns it into student view.
Look at that. That's something new that I just learned. Thank you.
It is showing that. Why is that? That should not be showing there. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I know why. Because I'm still in as a teacher. I'm in as a teacher under this account. But if I log in as the student, so let's just do that real quick. Let's just log out of this account just to show you.
Let's see what student sees. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Brad. That's something new for me too.
You know what? I don't know if that assignment's going to show now because I just realized I didn't put a date for it. It may just be random out there. Ruh-roh. I'll go fix that if I need to. Yeah, I didn't finish that assignment. That's my fault. Let me go. But just to give you an idea, see this. Do I have one that does this? I'm trying to think if I have one.
Or yeah.
It's not a concept that we have, but I can still pull it up. No, it's just a video. Let me go back to the other one and I'll finish that assignment real quick so you can see. Sorry, that was my mistake. I didn't ever put any due dates for that. That's my bad. All right, let's go back in here and find that assignment. And who knows where it went now because I didn't put any details to it. So let me do a little quick find. That was Yemen. There we go. All right, and I'm gonna edit it. So a couple things you can put points if you want to have points for any questions you may want to populate in here. We'll talk about the submission piece in a moment. I'm going to do my due date of I like to put them into the end of the year so I can get to use them throughout the year, and then it's going to be available from today until the end of May. And now we'll save it. Now we should be able to find it in that student account. Easier. Now that we've not student, Brad. Let's go back to that. Typo there. Okay. Let's see if I can find my Yemen board in here. There it is, right here. So seeing the model lesson disappears. So once you're logged in as a student, it doesn't show any of the teacher data, and for you guys to be aware of. You don't have to toggle on or off teacher mode. Just assign it the way it is, and it recognizes who's a student, who's a teacher.
Very cool.
All right. So before I move further in, any questions just so far about just grabbing individual pieces and kind of adding them in from Discovery within Canvas? Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, I'm wondering how the interactive lessons, that dragging piece, how that looks in Canvas, and if that still looks the same as it does in the Discovery Ed app.
Yeah, let's take a look. We're getting ready to do an update with our interface with Canvas here this summer. So there's gonna be some additional features gonna be added on. And let's just go over here and search. And yeah, that's one of the things we're adding in. This is not showing up right now. Right now, you need to send them to that page to click on it because I cannot embed that directly in here. That's what I was checking on. That's something. There is a way to do it, and I'm going to show you the easier way to do that. So let's just go this route. So let me do it a different way. The way you're going to want to do these interactive pieces here within Discover Education through Canvas is at our homepage. There's a tool called Studio. Now, Studio allows you to kind of create your own lessons. There are some of these that are pre-made and around our interactive. So I'm going to go grab this real quick here. Grab our social studies interactives. I have some that are pre-made in here, so it'd be easier to save us a little time. So if I go and grab one of these that are pre-made, so maybe it's Ancient Rome or Westward Expansion, we'll just grab this one here. And I'm just going to make it. Whenever they're pre-made ones here, you can make a copy of them, or again, you can create your own and put the interactive in there. But these have the interactives as part of it. Now, when you do this, one of the things you can do is you can actually add in your own questions. So if I don't like the questions here, I want to modify them or change them a little bit. I'm actually going to cut that out, and then I'm just going to change a little bit in here. I'm going to make my little background information smaller. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to add a short answer question. And I can put in, whatever question you want to put in there, it's fine. You can put questions in here. And then once you've done that, let me go ahead and share it. Make sure you click share once. What it does is it publishes it when you share it. What this does, this board right here now is a place where students can actually type directly on there. They can interact with the investigation. And the way you're going to add that into Canvas is just very slightly different. And what it is you're going to go put everything in here like you would before. You're going to search for discovery like you would before. But instead of going search resources, you're going to go to what it's called find assessments. So, because as soon as you put a question on a studio board, it becomes what's called a studio quiz. And so you can click on My Assessments. And I'm trying to see which one was that called. That was
Copy of Ancient Rome.
Rome. Thank you. I was like, I know it. There we go. And I can click on Embed. Now, my fault. I did that wrong. Hang on here. I need to go to External Tool. And this is what it is. I actually need to copy the link from here. That's my fault. So if you go to the share button right here, copy the link and paste it under. So this is the difference is instead of searching for it here, that's what it was. I need to actually go External Tool under Submission Type, paste, click on Find from Discovery Education. And then we'll find our assessment. My assessment, and where was it? There it is. And select. And now you can put points to that. You can do all the things you want to, but once you've done that, I've got to put a due date again. Otherwise, it will not populate for us. Oops, start date's today's date, not the end. There we go. And the due date's the 31st. All right. And then save it. Now your studio board resides right in your activity. And so students can now interact with that investigation where it just opens it up separately for them on a separate tab. So if I click on that investigation, it's there. They can actually type directly into the questions here. And there's all the videos work here as well. The other thing I'll mention to you is the text here can utilize something called Immersive Reader, which is right here. So if you have students who struggle with reading or English language learners, this can play the text aloud.
Transportation and trade in ancient Rome.
They can change from a female to a male voice, and you can change the languages or how many lines of text they see at a time. So if I need it in Spanish, I can translate just one word at a time, or I can translate the entire document into Spanish if I have a kid that needs that. And it'll read aloud in Spanish as well. And that's all part of the studio tool here that you have. So that's how I get the investigations in. You just put them into a studio board, and then you can assign them through the embed feature in the assignments. Does that make sense to you guys?
It does. Would you recommend, like there's many pieces here, and I'm looking at this global economy lesson. Mm-hmm. Would you recommend separate assignments for each of your pieces of text, and then kind of going through, like the way my Canvas is kind of set up, it'll say something like, click here for the global economy text number 1, and then have a link to that, and then another link to text number 2, and then click here for the interactive assessment, and then do it separately. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you can do that if you want. There really isn't a one way to do any part within us. You could put that in, if that's the flow you're used to and comfortable, I would stay with that. The other options you have is you can actually build everything out into like a studio board and have it becomes kind of almost asynchronous, self-paced, where kids could have access to the individual pieces on page 1. And you could even say, hey, I want you to do pages 1 and 2 today. And then tomorrow we're going to go into pages 3 and 4, and then they can just navigate through and utilize it that way up to you, but both work fine.
Yeah, so as the way I'm hearing it, David, is that you do want to kind of segment it maybe by day or by assignment. That's really easy to do within Studio, to be able to create assignment number 1 on page 1, and then assignment number 2, on slide 1, and then assignment number 2 on slide 2. That's a really, and we've seen a lot of teachers around the country utilizing it that way. It's almost like a visual lesson plan.
Mhm.
And where you can put every bit of the information in one space. Some are using it for their own planning, and then others are actually using it for assignments to students. So really kind of any way that you want. The one thing I do want to point out, and I think that gets a little bit confusing, is there are those two words up there, assign and share. When we're talking about Canvas, always share, not assign.
Always share. Yeah, always share. Assign will just send it to Discovery Education, which is not where your kids are looking for things, so always share. The other thing I'd mention to you is that if there's something you have that's not part of Discovery, one of the beauties of Studio is I can actually add content from outside sources into a Studio board. And so just grab an image here real quick. There we go. So if there's a video from another source or another site that I want to use, I can drop that into my board in addition to what is in Discovery Education. And if you wanted to, while that's loading, I can actually also add a button, and that button could be a hyperlink to another website that I want kids to go to. So you really can make this a really dynamic interface for a kid to kind of be able to go place to place, see things. And when you were asking earlier, Katie, will the data pass back? If you do these multiple choice single answer, multiple choice multiple answer, those are the questions you put on a board, that information will pass back into Canvas.
That's awesome.
And I know we're a little over time, but one of the things I do want to show you real quickly is something that's coming July of this year, just so you're aware of it. And that is, this is a feature teachers have been asking for a while. Ann and I can tell you how we've gotten this question thousands of times, and we're really excited it's coming. You're going to have the ability within videos to now at different timestamps wherever you want to. You can pick the 1 minute and 13-second mark if you wanted to, and put a question in, and then maybe at the 2-minute mark you want to put a different question in. So if you ever use something like Edpuzzle, something along those lines, it will have that capability within our videos as of July 1st this year. And if students take, as you're completing those questions on those videos, it will give you data for that as well. And then also you'll have the ability to do live questioning. So if there's you're showing a video or your kids are watching a video and you're like, oh, I need to ask you a question about this. And you can pull up a question, put it in there, and then have all your kids respond to it right on in real time. And again, that's all coming in July 1st of this year. So what other questions can we answer for you guys? I know we're right at our time, but I want to make sure I address any other questions you guys may have.
I personally, and I'm sorry if y'all can hear, they're doing some work in our backyard, some construction, but
don't hear a thing.
I think this was great. I just need to play around a little. I'm sure as I do that, I'll come up with more questions. But this was really helpful. So thank you. I'm excited to play around with it.
Awesome.
Yes, I'm going to embed some of this global community stuff this week and just kind of learn as I go. Good opportunity to